Hi, welcome to my video. This is covering UK surrogacy, just the basics. Pretty much I'm going to cover the law, parental orders, expenses, what happens if you're on benefits, the checks you need to go through, and the agreements. There is going to be a massive amount of information here. This is probably going to be a two-parter, but I'm not sure when I'm going to have to cut off. So do check out both videos if you want to know both parts, and I will obviously in the description box put what I'm covering in each one and a blurb about what I'm covering, as I said, and lots of links to other videos about agreements and parental orders and birth certificates that I've done previously, and other links to little bits of information like the law in the UK and stuff like that if you want to check out below. So first things first, we will discuss the law. Now in the UK, surrogacy is legal. It is illegal, however, to financially gain from surrogacy in any way. So you don't need a solicitor. You cannot pay a solicitor to draw an agreement. That is against the law. Clinics may ask you if you're doing gestational surrogacy, which is where you undergo IVF and create your own embryos and whatnot, which I'll go into a little bit more detail later on. They will sometimes say that you need to consult a solicitor. You don't, by all means, point them to the law. Sometimes you end up having to do it for the clinic, but you're really not supposed to, according to the law in the UK. So the basic thing is the surrogate is the legal parent, even if she has no genetic relation to your child whatsoever. She is the legal mama. If she is married, like I am myself, or in a civil partnership, the partner or husband or spouse or whatever you want to call them will also go on the birth certificate with the surrogate, which we love. It's also completely stupid that I had to sign a birth certificate knowing that genetically this child was not mine, whilst looking at a sign that says if you give any illegal information or incorrect information on these forms, you may be prosecuted for perjury. I even pointed out to the lady doing the form. I was like, why did my husband? I have to go on here then. But it's just how the law works. So we will both be on it, and our rights, my husband and my rights, are extinguished by the appointment of a parental order, which is known as a PO. So basically what you want to do, once your baby is here, now I'm skipping towards the end, but it's easier to just cover all the law stuff at the beginning. Once you have your baby, when they are 6 weeks old, until they were 6 months old, you can apply for a parental order. So what you need to do is go to your local family court. You don't need to go to any other courts. Generally go to your family court and request a C51 form. Now the cost associated to this in the UK is £215 for that form. If you were in Scotland, however, you're going to need about £2,000 really, because it's done slightly differently and you pay the hourly rate to someone to investigate you, which is just great. So the average is around £2,000. So just be aware of that if you are in Scotland. So basically you get your form, you fill it in. All you need to do that is to have the child living with you. Be in a relationship. You cannot be single to use surrogacy. One of the parents has to be genetically related to the baby. The baby has to live with you from birth pretty much, or as soon as they're out of hospital. And you have to be domiciled within the UK, Channel Islands, or the Isle of Man. So that's the sort of needs. So what you do is you fill this in, you give it back to your court. You can either send it in or take it in by hand it over. I think you probably pay when you hand it in. And you will get a court date where you are assigned a CAFCAS officer, which is basically someone that's going to come and speak to you or talk to you on the phone or whatever works geographically for you. And they will investigate and write a report which is given to the court in order for the parental order to be granted via a judge. Now, all they pretty much ask is, how does it work? How did you meet? Sometimes, frequently, they're asking for a timeline of how everything went because they don't like people rushing in surrogacy. Because of the legalities being quite loose here, you have to spend a reasonable amount of time to getting to know each other. Make sure that the surrogate hasn't been coerced in any way, isn't out of pocket financially, and all of that stuff. And then they go to the judge and go, yeah, it's all cool. And the judge goes, boom, here, you've got a parental order. And then a few weeks later, you'll get a new birth certificate through the post. It's very classy here. And it will have the intended parents as mother and father, or parent 1 and parent 2, if it's a same-sex couple, whatever one works for you. And that is pretty much it. It's very, very simplistic. It can take a couple of months to go through. It's kind of boring in a lot of senses, but it's very, very straightforward. And as long as everyone's stuck to the law and is playing ball, it's all good. So yeah, I will put the link below for the law governings in the UK, as long as I can find the correct links. pretty much when talking about surrogacy, there are some other terms you might come across like TS and GS. TS just stands for traditional surrogate, where the surrogate uses their own eggs. This is one thing I have done. I donated my egg, carried the pregnancy, gave birth and handed the baby over. You can also do GS, which is gestational surrogacy, which I've also done because I like to throw myself around everywhere, which is where the surrogate will undergo IVF and have an embryo transferred into her uterus in the hopes of pregnancy. And this can be either the donor egg or donor sperm, but it also has to be the parent's egg or the parent's sperm. Has to be genetically related to one of the IPs, or no bueno in this country. Now, in the UK, it's altruistic surrogacy only, which, as I said at the beginning, no one can make financial gain. You cannot be compensated in any way, maybe a hug or a thanks, but you cannot financially be compensated in any way for anything to do with surrogacy. It doesn't matter how much the pregnancy sucks, how crappy your labour is, you don't get compensation. The only vaguely exciting thing you might get is there are extra expenses if you have a hysterectomy or lose your fertility or a fallopian tube or something like that, and you do get an extra expense that covers the recovery period, childcare, loss of earnings and all of that jazz. But literally you just don't get left with anything. It's not overly fun. Some people do claim for a recoup and relaxation holiday. That is perfectly allowable by the courts. But again, what I will say, if you're on benefits, that's not something that the benefit office will accept. So I will cover benefits a little bit more towards the end, but just sort of laying that out there. So basically, you need to work out exactly what you need if you're a surrogate. The expenses bracket is anything from £2,000 to £20,000. The smaller bracket, which is more common, is now £6,000 to £18,000, with the most part being £12,000 to £15,000. Now, yes, I know this sounds like a huge amount of money, and I've had a lot of stick in groups like the 4-year group I'm in about how it couldn't possibly cost that much, and when I was pregnant it never cost me that much. Now, true, when you are pregnant with yourself, pregnant with your own child, you probably don't add up everything you spend out on, and you probably just suck things up a little bit. Now, with surrogacy, the only thing you're going to get as a bonus, because you don't generally get a holiday, you don't get a shiny new car, no matter what you might hear about in the groups, you don't really get anything. But one thing you can get, which is mega exciting, is a cleaner. If you are really sick in the beginning, or you are really crippled towards the end with SPD, symphysis pubis dysfunction, or back issues, or whatever, or you've had a section, you can get a cleaner, and this is perfectly legal, and it's one of the only joys of doing surrogacy in the UK, is you can get a cleaner, and you can pay someone to come and clean up your crap. You can also get a gardener or kennels if you need it, if you're going into hospital, or someone to look after your cats, like cattery. These are all reasonable expenses. Now, none of them are particularly exciting, but obviously if you're having your own child, you wouldn't necessarily worry about that, or if you paid for a cleaner, that was your choice, but most of you suck it up. Yes, it's a bit of a bonus, but I don't think anyone's going to sit there and go, it's really evil of you to get a cleaner when you feel like crap on someone else's expense. If you feel like that, that's fine. Maybe surrogacy isn't for you, but pretty much that's kind of like the only bonus we get, and the odd takeout. But again, you'll do that, or I definitely do. I actually had more takeout when I was pregnant with my own, because I didn't feel guilty about spending somebody else's money than I did as a surrogate. But I did use one of my biggest expenses was food, and this was healthy eating, convenience foods, the odd takeout, cravings, snacks for the kids after school, because I couldn't cook. So hubby did, and that cost a lot more to do that, and they needed food to keep them going after school. So pretty much the expenses covers a lot of things, and you do want to sit down and work it out. The most common ones for anyone interested is loss of earnings, childcare, food, travel, be that buses or taxis if you can't get a bus to where you need to go. So yeah, as I said, fuel, parking, wear and tear. Some people will get stuff like that, because if you're driving at 2 clinics back and forth, that actually does add up quite a lot. I said some get kennels or gardening, and that's not anything I needed to do myself. Maternity clothes, underwear, sanitary stuff, vitamins, medication. Without being gross, the amount I spent on antacids, hemorrhoid cream, some people need thrush treatments, vitamins throughout the pregnancy, it all adds up. Analgesics, heat pads from Cura Heat, though I'm more of a reusable person. So I got a wheat bag, and I got a gel pack that I could put in the freezer to chill and stuff like that. It's actually a huge chunk of money. It really is a crazy large amount of money that can add up when you sit down and work it all out. And pretty much no one is taking the mick. And if you think they're taking the mick, you can walk away. No one has to match with someone. Benefits. Now, I'm not really hot on benefits because unfortunately, no matter how much I ask the council to please pay my council tax for me, they keep refusing, so I have to pay my own. Unfair. But basically, you can be a surrogate if you're on benefits. It's not recommended, but you can be one, but you have to be very careful, because if the benefit office finds out, and they invariably are checking more frequently now on people, I believe, and asking for bank statements, you have to be able to say exactly where all the money went. So basically they will ask for 3 months, I believe, of bank statements. You have to write on there every single penny that is reasonable expenses or pregnancy expenses and account for it. And they will go, yep, that's fine. But they will not take a recoup and relaxation break. They will not take a holiday of any kind. They will not take treats of any kind. Or even if it's for the kids, they will not allow it. They will put that down as an income. So basically they will do a mean thing. I believe I'm getting this right. They will take out what you are getting per month, what is allowed by them. So say you get £12,000 and you're having 10 equal payments, which is how they recommend you do it, is 10 equal payments throughout the pregnancy. Say you're getting £1,200 a month and you can account for, via Tesco's hemorrhoid cream and all that jazz on your bank statement for £800 of it on average per month. They will allow that £800. Congratulations, that is your reasonable expenses. Boom. However, that £400, if you cannot account for it, is discounted. They will then decide in their own way, because they're the benefits office and apparently they're on a different planet to the rest of us. I don't know, I've never really spoken to them. But they will then decide that that £400 a month is income, whether it is or not. Even if you were just going to have a weekend to Butlins, you're not allowed it, apparently. So they will count that as income. So that means that over the 10 months of pregnancy expenses, you will be accounted as having a £4,000 income. Now, for a lot of people, that means that you will lose, some will lose all benefits, some will lose half of their benefits. I don't quite know how it works. Income support, council, is it income support? It might have a new name now, whatever that one is now called. And council tax benefit and housing benefit, all that lot can be changed and you could lose a lot of it. Your IPs are not liable to cover the loss. That is on your head, which is why you have to make sure you know exactly what you need and claim exactly for only what you need. It's unfortunate, but that is the only thing you get if you're on benefits and you still want to do this. You just have to know that you're covering everything. Now, I'm sure there's other people out there that are like, well, I've never been caught. I've never been asked to send in statements. But they could be any day now, and apparently it's happening more and more, which isn't a problem if you know what your money's going on. And you can go, well, yeah, that went, seriously, thrush treatment. It was a great week. And that went on painkillers. Oh, there's my food shop. I got convenience food. Oh, very exciting. Got McDonald's for the kids. They may not even allow the McDonald's for the kids. I don't know. But you want to be a little bit careful, so just make sure you can count every penny that you are claiming for, just to be safe. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. This is part 1. I'm going to move on to part 2 now because I've been talking for a very long time. As I said, comments, question, queries below. Do check out the description box for links and other bits. And I will see you when next part 2's on, or if you watch part 2. And if not, why not, dude? I'm hurt. No, I'm not. All right, see you later.